Okay, so we are live here on Facebook at the Ashlet Tuesday night tacos. It's a special moment, and tonight, no one knows, but we're going to be talking about something really interesting. I've titled it "The Growing Popularity of Yoga and Meditation in a Multitasking Generation." How does that sound?
Yeah.
Well, come on, let's go. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here's our crowd. Okay, we're going to go around the room. We are, say hi. Hey, how you doing? Okay, these are all the beautiful looking people that are here. Truly beautiful. I hope. And hello. And our good friend Danny is on the computer, and he will be watching if anyone posts anything or says anything or comments. We can, he'll bring up the comments if anyone's on live. Danny, what do you think?
I think this is going to go great.
Okay, it's going to be lit. It's Ashlet. That's what we're doing. Okay. Can, oops, 1 second. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've never done this before. It feels awkward. But you know what? You just got to come out of your comfort zone. You just got to go. You got to go. You got to do. If it's the right thing, don't think. Okay, so basically, I want to take the group and everyone that's here with me. Let's try and take ourselves now. I'm not saying that we should be ancient people, but let's take ourselves back in time. Okay, so it's a form of a meditation. In today's generation, literally, a meditation is a form of focusing. So we want to focus on something. I want to go with the crowd. Hey, how you doing? Okay, so we're live on Facebook right now. Come in. I want to go back in time. Back in time, and I want to take everyone here in this room back in time, in the shtetl. And by doing that, make us realize what life was like for the people 300 years ago, 400 years ago, and what we can learn from that lifestyle that they were living in. Okay, so you know, today we live a very different lifestyle. And maybe when we compare the two lifestyles, I'm not saying that we should be old-fashioned. Judaism is very much into living up to date and being in fashion, maybe not with the way you dress, but in many other ways, but even in the way you dress. But at the end of the day, Judaism is very much into being up to date. Okay, so we believe in using the internet. It's a powerful tool. Use it for the good. We believe in so many things, but using them for the good. Okay, so we're not against it, but let's try and go back in time and see what are the differences between back then and right now. Okay, so I wrote down a few things. Thank you, Google. It helped me a lot. And I'm going to take you in some of these ideas, okay? So if you can, imagine you're living 300 years ago. Okay, 300 years ago, you're in shtetl. Let's say it's not in LA, because, I don't know, but that's what we normally think of. So far away place, it's cold. Now, not only is it cold, but there's no electricity in your house. No electricity. There's no washing machines to wash your clothes. When was the first washing machine created? Anyone know?
1938.
Wow. No. 1908. It was in 1908. It was by the Hurley Machines Clubs. Hurley Machine Company of Chicago, and it's nothing to do with me. It's the Google that helped me. It's in Chicago by the Thor, but it was called the Hurley Machine Company. Okay, and if you don't believe me, check it. So that was when the first washing machine was actually invented, and until it actually came into people's houses, and it was actually lived with, that must have even taken longer. So if we look back in time 300 years ago, no washing machine. Okay, water pressure. In order to have water coming out of your tap, you need water pressure. Now, water pressure would need some kind of pump, or if I had some live, real stream of water flowing, I can use that as a tool of getting water pressure. But in most houses, that wasn't happening, so there was not much water pressure. Let's go and think hot water. If I wanted hot water, what would I have to do?
Boil it.
Boil it, right? So I'd have to make a fire. Now, that would be very smelly. Can you imagine living in a house? Right, so let's have a little meditation right here. Imagine being in this house, there's no electricity, there's no washing machine, there's no water pressure, there's no hot water, and if there is hot water for a shower, I'm going to be smelling a lot of smoke. It's going to be very smelly. And even if I had a chimney, but still, the atmosphere is a lot of cooking with fire and wood. Definitely different than it is today. Okay, so there's no kettle. There was no ovens. When was the first domesticated oven created?
1942. 1903.
Nice. Okay, so when was the next? I don't know exactly, but it's around that time. So when was the next form? When was the form of heating your house properly? Meaning through central heating and actually using gas in order to actually heat the whole house up, right? So imagine if you want a hot house, what would you be doing 300 years ago? You'd have this big stove, and it would be making this big fire, and not much, right? So there's, again, the smell of fire. Phones, who was the first person to make phones? Yay, he was American, wasn't he? Yeah, in 1876, so 300 years ago, no phones, no communication. That means you can't talk, besides for the people you see. Right now, there's none of this, okay? Hi, everyone, but there's none of this, right? There would only be a communication with the people that you see, okay? So there was no phones, no internet. When was the first internet? Sorry. When did we discover, oh, I love that sound. When did we discover that you can actually communicate from one computer to another? 1954. Wow, that was in, and it was only till 1989 that it was really, the World Wide Web came to exist. 1989. So that's very, very close to where we are. So that was really a lack of communication. Forget mobile phones and cell phones and the internet. Okay, let's move to the next thing. Information. If I wanted information, where would I go? If I wanted to learn about something, if I was in school and I was told, okay, you've got to write a letter or a thesis on this and this.
When I was your age, I'd go to the library.
Right, when you go to the library. So we'd go, that was even our age. Imagine 300 years ago, you know, when there's barely any printing. So that will be even harder to find real books, hard copies of books. I mean, people were studious and they were reading, but at the end of the day, the ability that we have today to print is a whole new world. That wasn't available as much. Okay, I'm just giving you the picture of where we are. So no cars. In 1886, cars was really brought forward by this guy called Benz, hence Mercedes-Benz. No credit cards. When was the credit card? First credit card? Well, the credit cards really took off when American Express came along and they brought them out, okay? The next thing is showers. Showers weren't really available unless in public places, in bathhouses, and even that. Okay, no fridge, no freezer. My father-in-law remembers he was in the state of Israel when it was just founded. And his freezer was literally in ice. He used to get ice from the street. They used to come out and give out ice, and it would be like this ice box. That's what it was called. It was called an ice box, and you put the ice in there, and that's how you'd have cold. And that's only 50 years ago. Okay, so think about how much luxury we have right now as we speak. So the first typewriter was by an American in 1868. Bathrooms. Who was the first person to really make a toilet? This is you're gonna love. Who was the first person? This is as rude as you're gonna get. Who's the first person to actually make a toilet?
Benjamin Franklin.
No.
I've seen him.
His name was, well, there was a bunch of, the truth is, it was a wrong question. Who was the first person to really spread the idea of having like toilets in your house with a real pump without having bad smells coming out of it, because you have to have a system which holds away the smell, right? So who's the first? His name was Thomas Crapper. This is real, this is real. And he came out, that's where the word comes from. In 1910, it actually started from 1596 was the first time by John Harrington, and actually these people were British and they made the toilets for the Queen. Isn't that interesting? Okay, but from them, the toilet actually spread out. So imagine, even to go to the bathroom, you'd have to dig a big hole, hopefully not in your house, and cover it somewhere else, and it's a whole big business just to go to the bathroom. So we're talking about a different society. Now, everything back then was very uncomfortable. It wasn't convenient as it is today, right? Things weren't as convenient as things were today. But I want to ask you, okay, there were lots of, there's a lot of convenience that we have and luxuries, but what can we say that maybe they have, or they had, that we don't, or that we may be lacking, okay? If we want, we can even have that idea within us as well. But there's certain things, because of all our luxury, we may be lacking. What do you think that is?
Not being lazy.
Okay, not being lazy. You have to get it right. If you want food, you've got to really cook it. And if you want, you've got to just turn on the gas. You've got to get that wood, cut it. Okay, what else? Not being lazy? Come on, guys. Relax.
Like real communication, not like
Real communication. Are you getting that? Right? Real communication. When you talk to someone, there's no other things that disturb you. It's a real communication. Okay, what else, right? Can you imagine being on a date and then there's no phone calls, it's just me and you.
It's nice.
Isn't that nice? Okay, so being real, right? Real communications. What else? What else is different back then that may be better? And even in the world that they had, it took them. Can you imagine how much time it took them to get going?
Sometimes like ignorance is bliss. Like they knew less about every single thing that's going on constantly, and now
Wow.
we're just bombarded with
Like that.
everything at once.
Ignorance is bliss. So that's a powerful thing. To not know everything and be bombarded with information sometimes it can be a danger. Lots of information can be a dangerous thing. And sometimes it's better. Oh, go on, Emily.
Also, no pun intended, back then everything was unfiltered.
Right, it was
You
real.
don't see everyone's high points of their life on Instagram or on Facebook. You see whatever's in front of you, and it makes you really see the reality and not the falsified image people put out there.
Right. I was talking about this the other week, that, when you go on Facebook, every post is the best picture that the person took that week. So you start looking at your news feed and you're like, okay, wait a second, that post, this person has a way better life than me. And then forget it, when you look at the whole profile, you just want to check out somebody properly. And you check out the whole profile, wow, this person's having a good life, And then we do it to ourselves. Wow, and it's pretty cool. You look at, once in a while I look at my history and I'm like, wow, we're pretty cool. We've done some good stuff. So that happens sometimes. So the world in social media and the way that we can take pictures really changes the way we look sometimes, and it's not the real us. So seeing people in the real way, unfiltered, is actually a powerful thing. I like it. Anyone else? We're good? Prayer.
Just without all the distractions. And
Focused. Yeah, you can be focused in your inner self, and I like that. It's powerful. Okay, so there's one thing that I really wanted to point out, and I think we've all touched on it at a different angle, but it's really this idea, okay? The difference, or the vast difference that you can see from us now to then, back then, and I'm not saying we should be old-timers, we should now go old school, but something that we can learn from back then and we can take with us, right? As Jews, we're told that we should learn from the elderly. Stand up for older people. Why? Because they've got wisdom. Don't say, oh, that's just an old this, that, and the other person. He's got no wisdom to teach me. No. Learn from them. They've been through life. They've been through those challenges. This is something that that's why in Judaism we're told, stand for the elderly. You must stand for the elderly. Why? Because you instill within yourself this appreciation for wisdom. Okay? So there's one difference which I think is very true, and it's basically what you all said. The difference is the quality of life. Okay? So back then, everything was done much less. Much less was done. But they had quality in everything that they did. Okay? If I was meeting someone, I was meeting someone. If I was eating, I was eating. You know why? Because I spent 3 hours cooking the food and all the process that came before. And I went to the farm in my backyard to get the food in order to have the food to eat. So there's much more quality in everything I did. There was much less done, but much more quality done. Okay, so the quality was on the highest. By us, there's much more quantity. In 1 hour, just 1 hour, I can have all my washing done, especially if I feel like I can't be bothered doing it, so I pay someone to do it for me. I can have all my washing done. I just put the washing machine on. I can have hundreds of things booked online. I can book a ticket. I can pay, especially if you've got the pay with one click on Amazon. I can buy hundreds of things, right? So I could do in 1 hour thousands, literally thousands of things. I can talk to 1,000 people through Facebook. Yeah. But I could do that. Think about how many thousand things can be done. So you have this great quantity. In the old times, you had this great quality. When I was getting a book, when I was studying something, I was studying it properly. By the way, if any of you online has a question, please, we have Danny here who will tell me what your question is. Throw it at us. Make the conversation even better. But look at the quality versus the quantity. Does that make sense to you all? Isn't that something which is true? Okay. In order to get something, it will take a lot more time. So today's generation, even though we have all of these conveniences, people say, I have no time, right? Everyone's like, how are you doing? I'm so busy. I have no time, right? I'm so busy. Why are you so busy? In fact, in 1 hour, you have so much that can be done. Why do you feel you're so busy? You have Amazon, you have all these apps, you have every app that you need to get things done in seconds. You have a car which moves fast. So why are we so busy? And the answer is because when we, like I wrote it here, when we keep saying we're busy, it's because we have so much to do, and it's true. In 1 hour, I have so much to do. Think about how much I can do in 1 hour. Loads. So it's always in the back of my mind. I have so much to do. I have this. I have this Facebook post. I have that. There's so many things in my brain which is telling me I have so much to do. In the old days, I couldn't do more than one thing at a time, or two, or three. But that's it. If I needed the bathroom, there's no taking my phone with me and doing something else. I'm going to the bathroom. So everything was done properly. And it's interesting that in our generation, we've got so much in our hands. We keep saying that we're so busy and we have no time. Okay, by the way, if anyone just came in on Facebook, the title of this talk is The Growing Popularity of Yoga and Meditation in a Multitasking Generation. Okay, so now I printed out the concept of multitasking I found on Forbes. Is that how you say it? Okay, so Forbes is a research that was done. It has thousands and thousands of views, meaning that everyone's interested in this topic, okay? Multitasking damages your brain and career, new studies suggest. This was written by Travis Bradbury. You can find it yourself. Okay, let me read to you what he says. You've likely heard that multitasking is problematic, but new studies show that it kills your performance and may even damage your brain. Research conducted at Stanford University found that multitasking is less productive than doing a single thing at a time. And I don't think he's talking about getting your nails done, right? And being on your phone at the same time. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about using your intellect, or trying to use your intellect for many things at the same time, okay? Or your senses for many things at the same time, okay? He says like this: the researchers also found that people who are regularly bombarded with several streams of electronic information cannot pay attention, recall information, or switch from one job to another, as well as those who complete one task at a time. And he says like this: the Stanford researchers compared groups of people based on their tendency to multitask and their belief that it helps their performance. They found that heavy multitaskers, those who multitask a lot and feel that it boosts their performance, were actually worse at multitasking than those who do a single thing at a time. The frequent multitaskers performed worse because they had much more trouble organizing their thoughts and filtering out irrelevant information, and they were slower at switching from one task to another. And he says here, your performance is less because your brain, your intellect can only focus at one thing at a time. You try to do two things at once, your brain lacks the capacity to perform both tasks successfully. And he says like this, multitasking lowers your IQ. Research also shows that in addition to slowing you down, multitasking lowers your IQ. A study at the University of London found that participants who multitask during cognitive tasks, which is using your brain, experienced IQ score declines that were similar to what they'd expect if they had smoked marijuana, or they stayed up all night. IQ drops of 15 points for multitasking men lowered their scores to the average range of an 8-year-old child. That is scary. Okay? So I think that why is our generation so into yoga, meditation, self-help, and all of that stuff is because we've got so much to do. There's so much in our face in 1 hour, right? There's the job that's demanded of me, and there's 1,000 things that I have to do. And I find it really hard to focus because I'm busy. And I keep saying, I'm really busy. And meditation is all about focusing. That is the point of meditation. Meditation is the ability to take your mind, remove everything that's around you, your surroundings, and completely be focused on one thing only. Some people would use their breathing, some people would think of different touches, but they'd use their senses to get to focus on one thing and one thing only and remove everything from their mind. And I think it's a beautiful thing. Judaism is very much for meditation. You should actually read the book of Jewish Meditation by Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, who was a Kabbalistic teacher, died at a young age. But his work is fascinating and worth learning. So meditation is a big part of Judaism. It's all involved in our tefillah, in our prayers. Okay. Meditations. I don't want to take you through this, but look at this. A study done by the American Psychological Association in 2015 found millennials, individuals between 18 and 35-year-olds, are the most stressed out generation in history. That's scary. There are many contributing factors to this increased stress, like money, work, technology, social media, and of course, increasing amount of student loan debt. That is a topic which I don't know enough about, so I wanted to say. Okay. I want to show you how Judaism also believes that multitasking can be quite on the damaging side, okay? If you open the Shulchan Aruch, the Jewish halachic authority, Rabbi Yosef Cairo in the year around 1550 lived in Safat, and from him eventually came the Jewish law, the halachic law amongst the Sephardim, the Sephardic traditions, and together the Ramah, Rabbi Moshe Isserles in Europe, also wrote a commentary. He could have written his own book, but he wrote a commentary on the book that the Rabbi Yosef Cairo wrote. And he wrote also the Jewish halachic authority. They say like this. At the beginning, it talks about the laws, it talks about how a person should yitnaheg adam b'chol yom, how a person should, as soon as he wakes up, what you should do. Okay, really interesting stuff. One of the things that they say there is yizaher min libosh shnei begadim biyachad. Be careful, don't even wear two clothes at the same time. Why? Mishum de kasher leshichecha. Even that can cause you to be forgetful. Mishum de kasher leshichecha. It's extremely powerful and it can cause you to be forgetful. What do you think they mean? They mean that multitasking can cause us to not focus. Okay? Again, it says like this. Tov it's much better to say a little bit with intention than to say a lot without intention. Meaning, much more important to have quality than quantity. The Jewish people were always about quality over quantity. We're never big in number, we're never big in, but we're all about quality. Yeah, Danny.
We have Jonathan Waxman coming in saying he's from the Bay Area.
Yeah.
I completely agree with the idea of focusing on one thing at a time. We have a group of businessmen across the country peers of the same age group, and we have decided to learn for 5 minutes a week together on a Sunday. We keep it to 5 minutes because we all claim that we do not have enough time due to our crazy schedules. But focusing on Torah for 5 minutes and only Torah is what we have committed to as a group.
Beautiful.
How can we improve this Torah group? How can we sway everyone to take on a little more?
So, interesting question. We actually have the same issue with our children. I hope my children don't watch this one day. Maybe if they do, they should use it because it's a very powerful idea. So, me and Shira's over here, and thank you, Shira, for everything. Okay, so maybe Shira, come sit next to me. It's gonna be good. Yes, Shira, come on. Bring the chair. Okay, so no, thank you.
Wait, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so this is my wife Shira. She's my better half. Okay, so everything I've said was nothing. Now Shira's gonna say some more. So basically, and Shira can add to this. Growing up, growing up our kids in Oregon was a big deal because obviously, we had a lot on our shoulders. We started building this group, and we had eventually formed into an organization, the real organization on campus called Akiva. Today we have another couple that's there doing and continuing the work that we did and started. And we were extremely busy. We had a community that was also involved. We did more than we needed to. We did, and Shira was mainly involved in all of the things that we did. And also she took on, besides for everything, she took on to go to high schools and run programs there. So we did way beyond than we needed to because we felt, okay, we're young, we're energetic, we must do as much as we can. And what happened was, we felt that we weren't giving enough attention to our children, right? So, multitasking, busy, and we were busy, and sometimes I can say I wasn't. I just thought I was busy because I had so much in my hands, and my phone, and my messages, and checking this thing and that thing. So, at some point, and Shira can add, we went to our rabbi, and you could say, what did the rabbi say?
So basically we asked him, I don't know, our kids need our attention. So how long do you think we should just focus and say this is the time only for the kids? It's like every day, the whole time they're home. I mean, we just want to have direction. Well, just to make some seder in our lives. And he said 1 hour a week. I was like, what? Only 1 hour a week? Seriously? He said, yes, 1 hour a week that you fully focus on them. And no phone, no nothing, we're really there. And they know nothing else matters, no one that walks through the door, which happens all the time, and just no one, just them. And I saw that he was so right. When we were so busy with a million other things, they always felt like they don't have that full focus. And so they always tried to get that focus, they tried to get their attention. But once we did give them the full hour, even if it was we did more than once a week, but even if it was that little amount of time, it made them so satisfied and they were happy, so they didn't even go after us a million other times, I want this, I want, they were just happy and just, I don't know, as a, how do you say, reguim, that's, that we gave them the time and, we're there for them. And they understood also what we're doing. We got them very involved in our job and the people and the students and everyone else around. But in general, that was a real big deal. That really, I would say, was a game changer to us. And I would also add about the phones.
Right.
We had them make us a phone box. We called it a phone box. So they basically decorated a shoe box. And they decided that every time when we come home, we were always in and out, because our home was the center pretty much, but every time when they officially finished their homeschooling with their teacher or whatever, we put our phones in the box for an hour or two, so at least we can, be present, whether, people coming in and whatever, but no phone. And that was a very nice thing, and they loved it. And they really gave us the focus as well. So that's really my
exactly.
comment
So,
on that.
and it answers your question. So, what was his name again?
Jonathan.
Jonathan. So to answer Jonathan's question, the idea is if you're doing something, do it properly, like you were saying, 5 minutes, and you can grow through that. Do those 5 minutes properly. Be there, present, be in it, be fully in it, immersed in it. The idea of mikvah is that in order to come pure, you need to be fully immersed. You need to be all the way in. And it's really like that with so much of Judaism in so many ways. Just completely say, no matter what, I say to Atkakeva, make a time where it's fixed. No matter what, I'm doing this and I'm doing it properly. And take off your phone for those 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and I guarantee that 6 minutes without any kind of distractions can feel like 2 hours. It really can. Have you ever had the feeling where you don't have your phone with you and you're like, what am I going to do without my phone? I don't have my phone. The battery's out. I'm now waiting for the doctor. Hopefully that's never happened to anyone. But I'm waiting here. I'm stuck. There's nothing going on, and I have nothing to entertain me for these 5 minutes. And that's because we're not really thinking anymore. We're so busy with these things. Now, I'm not saying that everything's bad. There's so much good in phones and internet, but at the end of the day, we need to be aware of our challenges. So please, don't take me personally. I don't like. Just chill. The idea really is. The idea really is to understand that it's all about the concept. The concept is we need to know and be aware of the challenges of our generation and why these things are so important. Is there any other questions? Are there any questions? Danny?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, so I'll go through a few more ideas. Like I said before, it's much better to have a bit of focus than a lot more. And again, the Talmud says, the Magen Avraham, who was another commentator, his name was Abram Gombiner, who came from a place in Poland, a big rabbi, a big teacher. He wrote a commentary on the Shulchan Aruch, lived in 1635. He writes and he brings down the Talmud that, when you do a bit or you do a lot, it's as good in Judaism, it's as spiritual. Don't think that, I didn't do everything, so I'm less spiritual. I didn't do so much. I go into, let's say, for instance, someone goes to pray, right? So you go to pray for the first time, you get involved in a synagogue, and you're like, I need community, I need to be involved, I want to go to a synagogue. So you spend 5 minutes in the synagogue and you do a bit. Now, that's great. The next time you come, you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to try and read as much as I can. And it's way beyond my capability. Says Judaism, it's better to say a small amount with intentions than say a lot more with less intentions. And it's as good. The Talmud says it's as good saying a small amount with the right intention, if you did as much as you can, as good as saying a lot with intentions. So that's that. Again, there's another interesting point. It says here, there's a Talmud which talks about drinking in order to pray. At the same time, can you drink and pray? So if, let's say, you're completely drunk, can you then go and do mincha, avit, or one of the prayers? Is it a joke if you do a prayer whilst you're completely drunk? So it says a person should obviously not do it, but if he did it, his prayer is a prayer, and it says a shikor, someone who's a complete drunk, then obviously that is bad and shouldn't be done. Okay, but the real idea is that a person that's completely drunk is someone that can't speak in front of, is at some point not aware, not focused, and that's what we're all about. We're all about focusing and being focused. Anyway, from there I want to move to another concept, which is I want to finish off, which is tafasta meruba lo tafasta. If you try and grab too much, you will grab nothing. So there's another concept which is learned twice in 2 different parts of the Torah, of the Talmud. If you try and grab too much, you'll do nothing. So for instance, if let's say you want to carry stuff now to your car, and you say, okay, I can't bother going back and forward, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to try and carry everything. Then what happens? Your arms kill, right? Things fall. You know what? It's much easier. Don't be so lazy. The long way is sometimes the easier way. So it's easier. It might be that you have to go back and forth 3 times, but your arms won't hurt. You'll be carrying a small amount, right? So that's the concept. If you try and grab everything, you'll end up having nothing. And it's so true in a generation which has so much thrown at us, so much multitasking. Can we say, tafasta mulbala tafasta? Yes, we should say, if you grab too much and try and do all the things, you will have nothing at the end. It's much better to focus and try and have one thing at a time. Much more important. Again, we have another concept, which is lo alecha melacha ligmor v'yeta ben cholin levatel mimena. Another concept really powerful and deep. It's taught in Pirkei Avot. You don't have to do everything. Don't think that you need to be perfect. You are a human being. And you know what? If you look at the Torah, all of our leaders, starting with Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest of the great, Adam, to all the way through, all made mistakes. And the Torah never is embarrassed to show the mistakes that they made. Every time they make a mistake, it tells us, and it talks at great length about the mistakes. You know why? Because they are human, just like we are human. We make mistakes. We're not perfect. We don't have to do everything. But if we try as hard as we can, that's great. And that actually is considered as if I did everything. It's a really important thing to try and do as much as I can in every way. The same with relationship, right? If you're with someone, you're in a relationship with someone, don't say, I have to be perfect. I have to do everything. Do something small. In fact, when you do small things, you can be much more constant, much more consistent with them. You give a small flower every day, or, okay, not every day, sorry, Danny,
Every week.
but every week. A small flower every week is much more powerful than a once in a year Valentine's. You know, that's a whole different ballgame. When you're consistent with something small, it's possible, and it's human. It makes sense. Yeah, Judaism demands a lot of you. You know, so many mitzvot, and there's so much to do. Someone could say, you know what, it's impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible. I'm not doing anything. But that's not the right approach. It's not impossible. It's possible slowly. You know, the Torah says you should study Torah all the time. When you get up, when you go to sleep, when you go and travel, you should always try and get wise, try and learn more, try and grow. How can the Torah tell me that? It's not possible. I have to sleep. If someone makes a neder, an oath, that he will not sleep for more than 3 days, according to halachic Judaism, yet that oath is annulled. Yes, it's a wrong oath. It can't exist because it's not possible. And even if you say it is possible, it's very hard for someone to go through 3 days without sleeping. So therefore, the oath is annulled. Meaning, as a human being, you need to sleep. So how can the Torah tell me you need to study all the time? Because lo alecha melacha ligmor, it knows that you're human. It knows you're human. You don't have to do everything, but do as much as you can. And that's the way. If someone looks at it in that way, you can always grow. But also remember, the lo ata ben cholin, I tell you now, you're also not free to do nothing, to say, okay, I'm just going to relax and not do anything at all, because that way you really won't achieve. So that's really the idea I wanted to share with you all. Quality versus quantity. And you know, even though we have so much quantity, let's use it in the right way, and we can. What does a wise person say? Today I'll do a bit, tomorrow I'll do another bit, tomorrow, the next day I'll do more, until eventually we do everything. And I think that could be applied too to the world that we live in, all the amazing tools that we have. We have so much good, right? When what happens in Houston, immediately, so much money was raised, right? Whenever something crazy goes on, money's raised in seconds. People are bringing, the internet has so much good use. There's so much hope for our generation. We believe that there is so much hope for our generation. It's not like there's no hope. There is so much hope. We just have to be smart with all these challenges and really try and focus and take this concept with us. I think that's really the idea. What do you guys think?
I agree.
You agree, Danny?
Any questions, any comments, anyone who wants to share anything that they think based on this? Now we need to. What about you?
You know, I wouldn't say that back then the quality of things were better. I would more say that there was more effort being put forward
Right.
to get good quality.
Right.
And because the technology that's gone on in the present day, it makes it a lot easier for everybody to be lazy,
Right.
put less effort,
Right. It's convenience
and kind of indirectly make you want to multitask.
exactly.
I have a comment.
Yeah. Can we turn the camera on you so that way? Okay.
You mentioned that a source said that you're supposed to wear one garment color, right? To avoid distraction.
So you better put one at a time. So
Oh, one
when
at
you-
a time.
Yeah. Not. You can put 10
I was like,
garments, but sorry, one at a time. So if you let's say you've got a shirt and a jersey and a coat, and you're like, okay, I don't have enough time. Let's put all three in one go. Okay. So if it's possible, says halakha, Jewish law, it's better to, even if you're very cool, it's better to put on one at a time. You know, and that way you're focused on each thing that you're doing. Your senses are all there, all with you. Actually,
That's good that you
it's good you mentioned it. Did everyone else understand it that way? Okay, I hope that's it. Okay, anything
That's
else?
good, it's good though. Yeah.
I read this article, I didn't read the full article, but was probably saw it to my viral this week. It was on the Wall Street Journal,
Mhm.
and it was about this guy who's kind of a prodigy. Yeah, his name's Max, I think he's maybe 24, 25 years old. And my brother
Is
was
he
at
cute?
the dinner table. Yeah. My brother was at the dinner table last night telling my family about this article.
Mhm.
And he said he's a prodigy, and he says, oh, he mastered all these talents. And I said, how is he able to do that? How is he mastering all these talents? How does that make him a prodigy? And my brother explained that this guy dedicates 1 month, maybe more, maybe a little bit less, to focusing on one goal he has in his life.
Wow.
And it can be something so mundane like doing 20 pull-ups, I think was one of his, or mastering chess, or learning how to solve a Rubik's Cube in 16 seconds. But the fact that he lets all other distractions in his life go and focuses all his time on one thing, he's able to complete this life goal people have to spend years and years and years on in 2 or 3 weeks. Obviously, no one's
I
gonna
love it.
quit their job to solve
Right, I
learn
mean,
to
that
solve
can
a
be
Rubik's
extreme, but, you know.
But I don't know. I thought it was interesting, and it made me feel like I'm not doing enough to reach tiny goals I have, or one of the many goals I set for myself every
Right.
year. And I felt like she paid right into that whole notion of
Yeah.
being dedicated and not.
And I
letting
think
distractions
that's
get in the way.
exactly what he's teaching. And you know what? If we look back in time, we look at our Rishonim, our writers, who you learn their scripture and you learn the text, you're just blown away by their knowledge, the amount they knew, and so perfect and so precise. How did they get so amazing and knowledgeable in so many different fields? Torah is so vast. I mean, they knew so much. And the answer is because they were focused. They were living in a time which was focused. They were focused. Prophecy only comes to a person who's completely focused. Wisdom in Jewish, there's a great rabbi who was once asked, how did he become so great? He said, in 1 minute. 1 minute? He said, yeah, every time I was waiting for the bus, in that 1 minute, I spent it doing something really valuable. And I counted all those 1 minutes and it made something really big. 1 minute, that's what it takes. And it's 1 minute at a time. If I think, oh, I need to be this great prodigy, then it's impossible. Your mind's going to say, it's impossible, I can't do it, this guy's too big, this girl is too great, I can never be there. But if you think of yourself as 1 minute at a time, of course you can make it. So basically, I like it. Please share it to me. Send the link. You all saw it? You saw it too?
I read it.
Yeah, you're right.
You must
I
have
can post
mutual
it as
friends.
a comment on the live video, so if
Okay.
anyone wants to see it,
That'd be great,
I'll
yeah.
post it there.
Okay, yeah, please do.
It's relevant to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It is,
In a way.
in a way.
Right, I mean, I'm not saying to go
Are
that.
we done?
I feel
We have no other. Okay,
Really cool.
let's call it a night. We love you. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah.
Okay, please come next week.